Good morning, everybody. Today is May. No, it's not.
June.
It's Wednesday. Why did I say May?
It's Benny and June.
June. What the hell, dude? Me and dates are so screwed up. Okay, today is Wednesday, June 6, 2018.
Yeah, it is.
Whatever. Let's just jump into it. I asked the guys in our pre-show, the show before the pre-show, before the show, if you could only have 4 fast food places for the rest of your life, what would they be? Don't be dumb, people out there. Here's what I mean. It has to at least have a drive-through. And I would have to say people from another state would have to, like, people from far away would have to know what the hell you're talking about. So in other words, like, we didn't really have Five Guys out here for too long, and then it finally showed up. But we've heard of it. We've heard of Shake Shack. We've heard of places like that. Hey, Martin.
Coming up in a minute.
Got to fall under that.
Dude, this is a confession. You say it for the pre-show. Like, I used to be such a fat. I'm still a fat kid at heart, but such a fat kid as a kid that I would have dreams where Scrooge McDuck would jump into his money thing and swim. I imagine that I would not just have one of those vaults. I would have 3 of those vaults, and one of them, each of them, would be filled with fast food. Because I could, my parents would buy me fast food as a kid, so I'd be like, I want to have fast food like all the other kids. So I was like, fantasize about it. But one would be filled with chicken nuggets and fries, and there'd be dipping sauces on the side you could swim to. Other one would be like filled with like, hum 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 hum. Yeah, there's my guilty confession as a kid. Like, I don't know what most kids are dreaming of, but that's what Danton was dreaming of. Food.
I asked listener Doncho this question yesterday, and he gave me a terrible answer. Okay. So I want to make sure. I guess I'll ask George too when he gets in. Danny, you start thinking of yours. Don't be dumb, because I know you're dying to be dumb.
I know. I'm gonna base it. Like, no. Let me finish. We're coming up.
This will be good.
I'm gonna base it off of fat little kid Danny. So
okay.
Stand by. Coming up.
Off topic Tuesday, since it's Tuesday and goes his head.
Your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is gonna be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMAjunkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie Radio. Commence transmission.
I'll make it easy. I'll just think
Live from MMAjunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
Oh. I thought he had it on.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMAjunkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes. Our ace co-host, to my left, the fight analyst, Dan Tom. Back east producing, Danny Otto. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
What's up?
Nothing. I thought I had a few minutes buffer there. I even got us these sheets from the sportsbook here.
The Martin thing threw us off.
The Martin Stabilo. Oh, the coffee order?
Yeah.
Okay. Shout out to Martin Stabilo coming in from Hawaii, bringing us these gifts.
Yep.
So what are they called? Pops?
Pops.
We just call it, that's a pop right there.
Yeah.
Well,
Funko Pop.
Bob Ross Pop.
Yeah.
Funko?
So the company's
Funko
Funko. Right? And
All
then
right.
these are just called Pops.
All right. I got to get this straight. I also want to get it straight because we also got these gifts, these bobbleheads that are really, really legit. And I got to find the right words. I mean, these are very stylish. They're very detailed. And, yeah, I want to give them the proper plug. So we'll do that a little bit later in the show. And I know I said that the last couple of days, and I keep forgetting just because we keep reacting to everything that's happened in the last few weeks. This is a huge fight week for the UFC 225, arguably their best card on paper. Look, I'm not discounting the Brooklyn card. Was supposed to be pretty tight, but it fell apart. So now, barring any injuries or any sort of setbacks, that will be the best card of the year. And then, of course, UFC 226, in my opinion, will trump that one. But regardless, man, we got some real doozies coming up. And then, of course, our friends at the PFL, they have their first installment regular season matchups, 12 of them, headed your way tomorrow night on NBC Sports. You got to catch that. 6 heavyweight fights, 12 fighters, and 6 featherweight fights, 12 fighters. So that division is getting going. They not only have to win, but they have to win and impress and accumulate points so that they can be one of the 8 quarterfinalists that enter their playoff. At the end of their playoff, somebody walks away with $1 million. But these are cool, and I'm hearing the guys might be in town soon. I don't want to jump ahead and have the wrong details, but very detailed, and they look great, man. They really do.
I love the fight.
Thanks for all the gifts that we've gotten from not just not just this week, but Beaver Rob's hung in there for a few weeks. I know Lucas from New Zealand has put together a few of them Kiwis. I still find them throughout the house and here in the studio. It's pretty cool.
There's an individual at Mandalay Bay that despises Beaver Rob.
Really?
That I think may actually one day steal him. He hates him that much.
Wow.
But I love him, and that makes me want to keep him here even longer.
I like it. I like it.
What's wrong with him? Like, he's kind of really cool, isn't he?
Yeah, but that person's like, he has nothing to do with MMA. And we're like,
but he was a gift, and it doesn't suck.
Yeah. No.
This is pretty funny.
Yeah.
He's got the buck teeth going.
Canada
He's got
flag.
the little chill Canada flag on his hat. He doesn't take up much space.
Not wearing anything else.
Yeah.
For some reason, he's wearing a hat.
It's not like he's got a shirt on that, like Liverpool. Oh, a Man U person wouldn't like him. UCLA. Oh, a USC person wouldn't like him. You know what I mean? He's not sporting anything that makes you jump out and go, I don't like that guy. He's not wearing a Covington shirt, a Covington kit, where a Brazilian might go, I don't like that guy. You know what I mean? There's just no reason to despise that. I disagree with this person. Is it a gentleman or is it a lady?
It's a gentleman.
And despite his wardrobe choices, like goes noted, ran him through the background check, came up clean.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Today we're going to talk to Michelle Waterson, who is a UFC strawweight. She's a top 20 UFC strawweight. I, of course, always point to the USA Today Sports and MMAjunkie rankings, and she's outside of the top 15 in HM, in my opinion, but close and could strike and could, in it, with a couple wins, be a top 10 because she's also racked up some good wins in her career. She will be working the Fox desk this weekend for pre- and post-fight coverage of UFC 225. So we'll get her thoughts on the 2 fights that involve females, which you all know. Holly Holm is facing Megan Anderson in the featherweight division, and in her strawweight division, Claudia Gadelha versus Carla Esparza. We'll also talk about, get her thoughts on the main event and the co-main event, because that's 2 big fights, man, that really impact both divisions. The middleweight division, you got the incumbent, the undisputed champion, Robert Whittaker, defending against Yoel Romero. If you think about it, guys, should he get past Yoel Romero, that will be his moment. He didn't get to beat an undisputed champion. He was the interim champion who was just promoted to being the undisputed champion because Bisping was the undisputed champion and lost to George St. Pierre. George St. Pierre said, thanks, UFC. I will now relinquish the belt, and that's how Whittaker got it. Whittaker didn't have that moment inside of the octagon, so should he get past Romero a second time, I think that'll be his moment. It won't be as special, but it'll be a moment. So, we have to pay attention for that. And then Romero's had quite the journey, man. And if he were to pull it off, it would be huge for the country of Cuba. Another belt for American Top Team. For Latinos, it sets up a trilogy. Yeah, exactly. There's lots that can happen there. I don't think the UFC has a bad hand at play there. And then in the other division, you have Rafael dos Anjos, a former lightweight champion, against Colby Covington, who may be the most despised athlete in the UFC. I know I know the Brazilians aren't too happy with him, so they want to see their compatriot kick some booty on Saturday. And then there's a lot of people that love them some Colby Covington. They get it. It's a shtick. Just go. I did this the other day, guys. You'll get a kick out of this. We all shared some time with Colby at JBLE. Go to that. Huh?
We think he's a completely different individual. The Colby Covington over there was like the chillest,
Yeah.
nicest dude.
He was, yeah. Well, that's when I messed up my knee, so I only got to spend half the trip. But still, he was excellent with the troops. He was very respectful, and he was in mid-camp, you know, so he may have had another focus. But he was quiet, kept to himself, but did his job, you know, which was to be there to support the troops. But I went back to a few pictures there, and then I went back about a year before that. A year before that, if Colby Covington posted anything, it got about 300 likes. If Colby Covington posts something now, it can get anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000 likes.
Probably gets 300 likes in the first 10 minutes now.
He, now granted, those likes, well, I think sometimes people hit the like button even if you disagree with someone. You just kind of involve yourself in the thread, and then maybe sometimes you say something negative. But regardless, what he's doing is working. He got himself into a title fight. He's also 8-1 as a welterweight, so it's not like, and he beat a high-profile welterweight, so it's not like he doesn't deserve his spot there. But the winner there will probably get a shot at the undisputed champ, Tyron Woodley, who told us about a week ago he's ready to go. He wants to fight at UFC 227 in August. So, Shorty Torres, Jose Torres, debuted this past week at UFC Fight Night 131 in Utica, New York. He defeated Jared Brooks. We'll catch up with him as well. Those are our two guests. In between, you'll find some pockets where we'll do our daily debate and discuss the latest news in and out of our sport. We drift off into other topics. At some point, you might hear LeBron versus Curry. You know, what?
Can we do that again? I kind of got blue balls from a conversation that we had earlier today.
Yeah.
Which one?
I asked the boys, if you could only have 4 fast food places for the rest of your life, which would they be? And we never got to the answers because we were
arguing.
No, we were brainstorming. I asked Doncho yesterday, and he gave me the dumbest answer ever, and it made me so mad. He wasn't very strategic at all.
Can I take a stab?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, anything.
All right, so that can be one topic today. I want to know like what your guys is really thinking out though. Because if you have a dumb answer, I'm going to tell you.
Well, I know Del Taco is one of them, and I'll leave that at that.
Okay.
And then we'll march on throughout the show. They have
it's on mine too.
A nice menu there that you can dabble with so many different things. But anyway, the number to call in is 866-522-2846. That's how you can chat with us and share your thoughts and opinions on fast food or the NBA Finals or UFC 225 or PFL 1. The better you are, the longer you hang around. Of course, we try and work around our guests. One of the guests will be popping in about 20 minutes. That's Michelle Waterson. The one after that will be 40 minutes later. And then after that, really, most of the second hour is wide open. But there are pockets, so call in 866-522-2846. I know some of you like to sit there and fire away on YouTube chat and Facebook chat, and sometimes I remember to go in there, and sometimes I don't. Hey, man, it's not that hard to just pick up the phone and also call in and verbalize what you're thinking. I call those, the ones that do that, 2 sports stars. The ones that can talk some smack online, but then also pick up the phone and chat with us. That's to be honest, 20 years removed, but that's something that Jim Rome used to allude to, except his is different. Back in the day when the Jim Rome show was really, really popping on the SoCal airwaves before he even went national, he would have a facts of the day contest. Now,
I've said
nobody does that anymore, right? Yeah. I don't think a fax is necessary anymore. So
I think in the medical field they still use it.
That's what he meant was the facts, the winner of the facts of the day, or the caller. He called them 2 sports stars. For us, it's different. It's a chat, comment, or a call. Excuse me. Fax.
In the medical field.
Really? They don't just electronically. Don't people just take pictures, sign something? I receive an email, print it, sign it, take a picture, and either text or email back. That to me sounds like it would solve the fax issue, right? And then they do that on their end.
I'm basing this off of TV, and still on some of these shows, I see them pull up and go, "We just got a fax from Connecticut that says blah, blah."
Wow.
So I don't know.
You know, a few years ago, David De Gea, the goalie for Manchester United, he was headed to Real Madrid. They had already agreed on a price, and there was some sort of a cutoff line where teams can trade their athletes, transfer their athletes, I should say. But the right paperwork has to be filled out, and you had an English Premier League team with a Spanish La Liga team. So because of that, I think a third party, maybe FIFA or UEFA or someone, had to get involved. But I mean, these are big franchises with staffs, so I'm sure somebody went fax that, send it. We got to beat the deadline with plenty of time, and something got lost along the way, and we were able to keep the goalie 2-3 more years. Every year there's talks of him going or whatever, but he's managed to stay.
Conspiracy with that though too.
I don't know. I don't.
Somebody said that they did it on purpose.
Maybe someone that didn't want to look dumb, but that's hard to fuck up, and someone did. But in the end, we still kept them. But here's what would have hurt about that, Goes. We wouldn't have gotten anything, if I'm not mistaken. I think he had reached the final year, and I believe he was just going to be a lost cause. I'm sure Howie D, if he's listening, maybe could chime in. What's that?
He gave you a cup of diaper.
Oh, thank you,
Martin.
Martin's very thoughtful.
Yeah, he's a very thoughtful individual.
All right. So, check out these odds.
All right.
Anything jump out at you guys? Is Whitaker really a minus 240? Is he really? I mean, he won a split, right, over Romero, or did he
unanimous?
Win? Unanimous. But it was pretty close to the end, right? The 5th round.
Came to the 5th.
Takedown or something.
Came to the 5th round. Yeah.
Right, and Romero has since looked pretty damn good, whereas Whitaker is coming off an injury. The minus 240. I don't mind him being a favorite. That jumped out at me a little bit.
Yeah, I picked him, but I guess I could see why too, because it was a unanimous decision, and it was a close fight, a competitive fight, much better fight than people remember. It was one of my favorite fights last year because it was so compelling. The narratives with Whitaker hurting his leg, but Whitaker did hurt his leg with literally like 30 seconds to a minute into the fight, and would show that he could scramble, defend takedowns, still hurt, and still go 5 rounds.
McGregor had. Remember McGregor also hurt his knee against Holloway early.
Yeah.
It's an injury you can power through, but
Yeah, he just didn't have the stability, and because of that stability, he couldn't put weight on his lead leg.
Yeah.
And he couldn't throw his jab, and he was talking about that in the post fight. So he was essentially just going, from a rear kick to a leaping left hook, because he couldn't really just be steady with his jab, and that puts his offense together. Yeah, he still got the win. So my theory is that I think that Whitaker can win, maybe even produce a finish earlier if he can avoid the knockout. That's just the thing with Romero. He looks great, but when he doesn't get the knockout, then we're like, even when he gets the victory over Jacare Souza, we're like, oh, he didn't look that good, because he has that style where he's either exploding and looking fantastic,
right,
or as Jimmy Smith likes to say, he's reloading, right? And then that kind of costs him. He's kind of just sitting there.
Yeah. And
you're like, what are you doing? What's going on? But for a dog price, if you're looking for a live dog, I think Russ from Boston tweeted me. He was asking about the KO prop. He said, hey, is the KO worth it at plus 300? And I'm like, in some houses you're getting Romero at like plus 200 or upwards. I would just
take that.
Yeah, because
get the decision.
Right, like you said, George. It was, even though Romero lost the decision, he showed that he could be competitive through the decision, right? So yeah.
I have 2 that stand out.
Okay.
Number 1, Holly Holm is minus 230. All right. She's 1-4 in her last 5. Seems like a lot. Megan Anderson's 4-0. I guess. Carla Esparza.
Oh yeah, that one.
375. Claudia Gadelia minus 525.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
That's a little too much. That's the former champion as well.
Yeah, with Holm though, Goes, be careful, because she has fought top competition, like arguably the greatest of all time in Cyborg. She was on her way to beating Misha and got caught with that submission late in round 5. It was a controversial decision with Jermaine Durandamy. Valentina took her. Valentina won that fight fair and square, but she's legit as well. Megan has been off for a while, and she hasn't fought top competition. So I don't know. I think I may either stay away or, because I don't want to give up too much either on Holly Holm. But what else?
I think Goes nailed it as far as the most ridiculous line is definitely that Esparza Gadelia line. But one that jumps out to me, and I guess I'll tip my hand here, I was talking to Goes, is I'm actually siding with Arlovsky now. I'm not saying you should go throw money on it, but when you start talking about plus 2-to-1 odds for any heavyweight fight, it better be a really darn proven heavyweight against a guy who's against a heavyweight who's maybe not good, or like a guy where there's a clear path to victory. You know what I'm saying? And it's really tough to justify those odds. And Tuivasa, he's a guy that I love to watch. I'm a fan, so I don't even want to pick against him because of that. But if we look at it, the guy hasn't been out of the first round in any of his fights, and he's even looked tired at the end of those first rounds, and he's won those fights.
Post-fight.
And even in the post fight, he's still taking breaths. You know what I'm saying? Well, we haven't seen much. A lot of the times where
Greg Jackson will see that too.
Yeah, and he has some decent get-ups. He's pretty athletic, but a lot of the times he ends up on his back. He's throwing himself into kind of a mount. Now, you guys see that a lot when you're calling tough enough fights. Maybe it's not. I'm not trying to pick on anybody or divisions, but in amateur, maybe it's more common to see a guy kind of try to throw a guy, and then he ends up the one being mounted.
Right.
We see that more in the lower level. You don't see that as much on the pro level, and that's something that's happened in I think like 2 of his last 3 fights as far as Tuivasa and Arlovsky. He's turned a corner. He's shown to be a different fighter.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
And I misspoke. He's not with Jackson. The last 2 camps I believe have been at American Top Team.
Correct, sir. Yeah.
But that's
too.
Huh?
He really likes it there.
Yeah, but that's a camp that will definitely spot that as well.
Yeah.
Mike Brown.
Partners to train with there.
Mm-hmm. Great heavyweight partners, great coaching, and that team for a while did not have a world champion, and now they could walk away with 2 with Covington and Romero.
Yeah.
I think Romero's more of an affiliate champ, still lives in Florida, but I think it's another American Top Team that he does most of his training. But still,
big night.
He flies that flag. So, all right. Well, anyway, we'll give out parlays. We have plenty of time for this. This is Saturday, UFC 225, and PFL 1. Are you guys sick and tired of hearing me talk about my 1% chance of going to Chicago? Or you want to hear one more story?
There's still light.
1%. I mean, that's so fucking low, George.
I know.
That would be like 1% as if you were going to Boston and somehow you fell out of the plane and landed in Chicago. That's 1%.
That's 1%?
Yeah, that's not even. There's no planning involved in that.
Speaking of Boston, fucking Russ, man, totally derailed me. No, here's the thing. Remember I told you Tuesday and Wednesday is when there's rumors that flights take a dip?
Yeah.
Today, just fucking around like I always do. Expedia's good, man. Expedia, they start the shit. I'm on their list, so they go, hey, 50% off, you did it. And I was like, what? So I hit it. And when I do it, I'm already into my account. And so I go, well, all I have to do is put LAX to Chicago. I did it, and it says $588. Now, what I was sacrificing, that's round trip, convenient times. But what I was sacrificing was I wasn't going to be in the fighter hotel. All right. So I'm not in the fighter hotel. I can hang out in the fighter hotel, I guess, and then just go to my spot. It was going to be not too further north, and I heard north is safer than south, so a little bit north. It was a DoubleTree, so a popular chain, 3.5 stars. But Big Ralph was talking about, you make a move, I'll make a move.
Oh, shit.
So $588, that's not bad. We're back to even less than what I was going to spend, even though I was going to stay at the
hotel and flight.
Hotel and flight. So I was like, here we go. I started hitting next or continue or whatever just to see where the flights were. The flights were making sense. Not what I wanted, but still, I was liking them. And then when I go to you know what it said? I mean, I don't know the proper wording, but it was something along the lines of shit happens. Sometimes prices can take a dip
Really?
or head upwards.
Yeah.
We've repriced, and it went from $588 to $988.
Come on.
So either somebody was also like, what? And beat me to it, or they were bullshitting. I don't know. But I really went through those steps, and I was already feeling my pockets. Like, is the wallet here? Let me start texting Ralph. Again, the times were different. This one was getting me in at 1 p.m. in Chicago, so I was going to miss the weigh-ins. I wasn't going to be in the hotel, but I thought, man, Chicago. This is a trip that I kind of really wanted to make, and it said, I wish I could just open the laptop and see if it read it to me, but it says, shit happens.
Like oops or something like
oops,
that, right?
yeah.
Your wallet not being accessible to you has cost you quite a bit.
Yeah.
No, the wallet. Well, yeah, the first time, kinda, because I come home, I throw the keys, and then I take the wallet out, and I like to either change into my shorts or just see what, like, sometimes I'll get business cards. I'm like, who the fuck was that guy again, or whatever. And so I like to just take out my phone and lay it all out and receipts and all that shit. So that's what I do. I get comfortable, and then I'll go and I'll have something to eat and then sit down with the dog for a little while. And you're right. Sometimes the wallet's not where I want it to be. But in this case the credit card was out. The wallet was there. You know what else I got to account for now is glasses, because my eyesight, either I have to have good lights or my glasses so I can look at the credit card and old man my way through it. But in this case, it was out. I was putting in the card, and then notification came in from Russ from Boston, the real deal. And that's when, how you doing? You going to Chicago? And then he threw out Priceline, and I thought, maybe he's right, and I save another 50 or 100 or something out of respect for Russ.
Has that
He's
gone
found
out of the
deals in
window
the
now?
past.
There's no more respect for us in that department? Or is he still kind of the real deal?
No, I think he knows what time it is when it comes to that. But what I'm saying is, him distracted me, led me to go in there, it pulled me away from the phone for another hour and a half from the computer, sorry. And then the thing shot up 150, and I go, Russ. And I thought, I'll catch someone slipping, the thing will take a dip, and then ever since then it just keeps rising and rising and rising and rising and rising. And that's why I didn't plan on waking up and doing that. Expedia got me in the morning. I'm going through all my emails, Dan Stop, Expedia, the daily dashboard, all that stuff that we get. And Expedia said, you did it, 50% off. What?
That's so funny. I've never gotten that. You did it.
Yeah. You unlocked it.
I think if somebody said that to me, I'd have to read it.
I know. And especially when all I did was hit a button and I was already into my account. So I guess I need to start logging off. But
man, I got an email from, what's the society that always tries to bury you?
The Humane Society?
No. Neptune? Is that what it is?
They want you to pick out your plot? Or
yeah. Take it easy.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Hey, is there any callers, by the way, that like the mystery is still alive for like the face, for example? The longest time, I pictured Russ as some guy, the wife beater, just like sweating over the phone. Like I saw his face, I'm like, oh man, that's not him. And then Budo eventually saw who he was. I'm like, it kind of ruined it for me. Is there any callers for you guys where you just you want to keep the magic alive, that someone has that mystique about them?
I never knew what Budo looked like until he passed away, or
yeah,
maybe slightly before.
Me too.
Actually,
yeah.
And I liked it that way.
Yeah.
But I think someone in the chat ruined it for some. I don't know. I liked it that way because I wanted to meet him. I just thought he was like kind of like Kramer was to Seinfeld.
Yeah,
just a character, And I was like, I gotta meet this dude. Either he needs to come out for a gathering, or next time I'm in New York, I'd just love to have a beer with him. He was just a character.
I think I told this story on the show before, but the first time I met Sam All Jam, I think it was a black guy. And I was actually in the lobby of the Delano, and we were talking to each other on the phone, and he's like, where are you at? And I'm like, I'm over here. And where are you at? And he was like standing like where Martin is to me, and I didn't know that was him. So
well, Muna would throw a lot of people off, right?
Muna would probably throw some people off. I never wanted to see what Humpty Sean looked like. I just liked picturing him as Humpty.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, Dan from Oregon, what he looks like.
I'm curious as well.
Does he have it on his Twitter? His face blasted on his Twitter?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's
does he?
Yeah, but he's got glasses.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think I may have seen him, but I've already forgotten, so I'd just leave it at that, and one day, hopefully, we'll meet him.
I'm on Twitter.
Maybe a junkie gathering. All right, we got to take a break. We got to get Michelle Waterson on, and it'll be a quick spot, We got some time with her, and then we'll blast through these calls. MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93 is what you're listening to, and we'll be right back with Michelle Waterson, who fights for the UFC and will be working the Fox desk this weekend for pre- and post-fight coverage for UFC 225.
marks on the underbelly of the MMA community. But hey, stretch marks are the new tats. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
The World Cup is a week away, and SiriusXM FC is getting you ready for all the action in Russia. Every night at 6 Eastern, Counterattack will preview one of the 8 groups. Tonight we'll cover Group H, which includes Colombia, Japan, Poland, and Senegal. Your home for the 2018 FIFA World Cup is Fox Sports 83 and SiriusXM FC 157. Speaking of Fox Sports, Michelle Waterson will be working the desk this weekend for pre- and post-fight coverage on Fox Sports, as this weekend is UFC 225 with Whitaker and Romero 2 as their main event. Now, the main card is a pay-per-view, 10 p.m. Eastern start time. The prelims are on Fox Sports 1, 8 p.m. Eastern start time. We also have 4 bouts on the UFC Fight Pass. And look at these names. This will tell you how deep the card is. Rashad Evans, Joseph Benavidez, Sergio Pettis, Clay Guida, Charles Oliveira. And those are 5
who's
names.
Who's on the undercard, though, George?
That is the undercard.
What?
That's the Fight Pass.
That's insane.
So this thing's deep, man. We're going to talk to Michelle Waterson here about some of these fights that are taking place in Chicago. What's up, Michelle? How you doing?
I'm absolutely wonderful. How are you?
Good. Thank you for asking. You're on with George Goes and Dan from MMAjunkie Radio. It's been a while since we have you on the show, and usually it revolves around fighting, but this time you are working the Fox Sports desk, so let's dive into some fights here that are taking place that we want to pick your brain about. Starting off with Megan Anderson and Holly Holm. We were just discussing this. We're at the Mandalay Bay, so we see all the odds coming through. And check this out. Holly Holm is a minus 230 favorite. Megan Anderson is a plus 180 favorite, or underdog. Goes, my co-host, was pointed out, Holly Holm's 1-4 in the last 4 fights, and Megan's 4-0 in the last fights. The odds just don't seem to match up. But, we know that Holly's been fighting quality fighters out there. What can you tell us about Megan Anderson?
I was just going to say.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that's exactly what it is. Holly's been fighting really high-caliber fights for belts. And so I don't necessarily think you can take those losses into account because, a loss isn't just a loss. When you look at the fights and how close of fights they were and how much Holly was able to take away from those fights and grow and develop as a fighter, I think is a big reason why she is not the underdog in this fight. And another reason is nobody really knows much about Megan Anderson. So she is a very well-rounded fighter. She's Invicta champ, but there's not much film about her. Nobody really knows much about her or the opponents that she has beaten.
Can you talk about how much? So you're right. Even though she's gone through a 1-4 spell, she's been competitive in quite a few of those, and a lot of times a fighter can grow even though they're losing, whereas another fighter, if they're fighting inferior competition, it can be a little bit deceiving just how successful they are. But talk a little bit about that growth that a fighter can have even though they may come up short in a high-profile fight.
Well, if I'm just thinking about her last fight against Cyborg, Cyborg is just a beast of a competitor. She's a great athlete. Everybody is looking to her for this as this 145 champ as just this unstoppable force. And Holly was able to go 5 rounds with her. And in my opinion, I think that Holly was winning the exchanges when they got into clinch. And that has to be a huge confidence boost for Holly going into this fight against another tall true 145 pounder. And knowing that she was able to hold her own in the clinch against Cyborg, she'll have no problem with Megan Anderson.
Let's move over to your weight class, the strawweight division. Claudia Gadelha, I'm going to throw some odds against you since you seem to be very familiar with how these work. She's a massive favorite at minus 525 versus the former champion, Carla Esparza. She comes in at plus 375. So these odds are even more lopsided than the other fight we were discussing. We think Carla's got game, man. She's got some wrestling. She's got experience. And not to say Gadelha isn't outstanding, because she is, but how do you see this fight going down?
I think that both of them are really good at wrestling. So what might end up happening is just turning into a stand-up war because the wrestling will neutralize each other. But again, if we're going back to the reason why Claudia is such a favorite is because the caliber of women that she has been fighting, versus the caliber of women that Carla has been fighting. And just Carla was out for a while with different injuries and having to get surgery and such. But in my opinion, I think that, yes, both ladies have really good grappling. But I think that Claudia's stand-up has a bit more power behind it. Mm-hmm. And so if the fight stays standing, I give it to Claudia. And if she goes to the ground, it really is a toss-up. I think that just training with Claudia here in Albuquerque, I felt her strength. I felt her top pressure, and it's very strong and effective. Mm-hmm. So if Claudia can get Carla down and keep top position, I see her winning the fight. Just based off of what I saw when Carla got on her back against her last opponent.
You know, Claudia was saying when she fought Jessica Andrade, she said she felt a lot of like strength and power. She compared it to almost like fighting a 125-pound flyweight, a male. Have you ever been in a fight like that, Michelle, where you feel somebody's strength and you're like, what the, like, and you almost know I just can't match that, so I gotta out quick them or out cardio them or out technique them.
You know, I've always been the smaller fighter, and so I just have always had to put it out of my head that the strength was going to be a disadvantage for me. Because if I went into the fight already having that chip on my shoulder, then it was, you know, I was already going into the fight with a negative mindset.
Mm-hmm. Michelle Waterson, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. She will be working the Fox desk for pre- and post-fight coverage all weekend long for UFC 225, which takes place on Saturday in Chicago with a headline bout of Robert Whittaker, who defends his middleweight belt, versus Yoel Romero. This will be their second fight, and I'm sure we will cover that with Michelle as well. Let me turn it over to the co-host, though. Goes, what do you have for Michelle Waterson?
Michelle, in the co-main event, you have Colby Covington versus Rafael Dos Anjos, and in this fight, there's a little bit of heat. Well, I'm going to say a lot of heat. If we look at your career, you've always been so polite, so respectful to your opponents. But what about outside looking in? When you look at a matchup like that that does have heat, does that make it more interesting for you?
Oh, yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to see the storyline, and it's exciting to see Colby's history and where he's gotten to be. You know, in any movie, any comic book or anything, you don't have a superhero unless they have a villain to fight, and Colby Covington has definitely made himself out to be quite a villain.
I'm going to ask you just on your personal side of doing the Fox desk, can you break down a little bit of, like, what is it like as they're saying, you know, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you go live, doing that for the first time when you did it versus maybe like the first time you went into a cage? I mean, I'm sure you have different types of adrenaline. Can it be a little similar, though?
You know what? I'd have to say my nerves were so rattled the first time I was behind the desk for Fox. They were counting down, and my fingers started to go numb. My lips were getting really tingly, and I remember almost feeling like that feeling of passing out and looking over at Rashad and him telling me to breathe and relax. But it just takes practice like anything else, and maybe that's the difference. Is fighting is my world. I've been doing martial arts since I was 10, and so once the first punch flies, you kind of just go into autopilot and you just do what you do. But being behind the desk is a whole new thing to me, and so getting used to those jitters is just one of those things that you have to practice.
Man, that's interesting to hear that. Great question, Goes, and that's interesting to hear her reply, because that's probably what happened to me if I ever had to do something like that, except I would really pass out. They'd have to revive my ass with like a fucking a Snickers and some OJ or something, whatever happens to them diabetics, which I'm not, thankfully. But as she was saying it, I was like, holy cow. I was looking at my hands, because you're right. You just got to get more reps under your belt and get it going and do your thing, But
I like what you said about Rashad, because like when we did Inside MMA, it's the same thing, right? You're on TV, but the thing that kind of helped me get through it was just focusing on knowing that familiar face and just saying, "Oh, I've spoken to Boss plenty of times," and just kind of almost pretending like it's a one-on-one conversation. I'm sure knowing Rashad so well and being able to see that face probably did give you that comfort level at the end.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
Oh, it was the best. You know, Rashad was like the OG when I first moved out to Albuquerque. He's like my older brother, so it was nice to have him there.
Michelle Waterson, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Let me turn it over to the fight analyst, Dan Tom. Dan, what do you have for Michelle?
Hey, Michelle. I actually want to stay on the topic of analysis. You're doing a great job, and I got to say, as somebody who, an Asian American myself who came up doing martial arts, teaching martial arts, and even had passion and involved in acting, it's kind of hard to not stay unbiased and appreciate, your moves toward that area as well as what you've already done. But let me ask you about that. Being, I guess, an Asian American in those type of roles, there's obviously, for people who aren't aware, there's not a lot, whether we're talking about male or female, and the Asian community maybe not the most vocal about this. But have you felt any support, any kind of push as far as that goes in your fighting career outside of the cage?
Well, I guess I just have never really paid attention to like the different groups, but I mean, when it comes to my mom, and she's probably one of my biggest supporters, and she has a huge, Thai community behind her. That she really does love to push me and get me in front of as many, faces as possible. And it's crazy because, like we're Thai and Muay Thai is very popular and famous, but when it comes to MMA, people are still it's still very new to them and kind of taboo to even talk about. And so I think that with myself getting out there and making it more mainstream, it's becoming more accepted and it's becoming more popular within the Asian community. And I think about the Asian community being closely linked to just the traditional martial arts, and because that's where I stem from with my karate background, bringing a lot more people that are traditional martial artists into the MMA world.
Michelle, that countdown they give you? I let you hear in your ear. If at the end they go, by the way, Michelle, we're going to need you to do this whole segment as your mom, would you be able to pull it off?
Oh, I could totally pull that off. It would actually be easier because then I wouldn't have to search for, like, harder words.
Can you break down the main event as your mom? So we know what that would be like?
Okay, so we got the, Ramelo, and then we have the Whitaker fighting together, and the Ramelo, he just sometimes coming at you like a dog, gonna bite you down, and then Whitaker move allow, gonna do the front kick to the face, and then boom, over.
Holy shit, that's good, right? Awesome.
Can you imagine if you're just switching the channels and all of a sudden you see that, or you'd be thinking like, what's going on?
What is going on? Yeah, no, man.
But then at the end you'd have to go, well, she does have a pretty good point.
Yeah, so, and I've heard this in the past, and Michelle, you're very cute with you and your daughter's interaction and how you guys play around with that and the relationship you have, obviously, with your mom. So thanks for sharing that. I know that anybody that might be catching wind of this might be tripping, but that was pretty good, I gotta admit. All right, well, listen, I think we just end on that. That was like a mic drop right there. And good luck this weekend. We really look forward to everything you and everyone else has to offer on the desk this weekend. I think Bisping's joining you, right? And who else is part of the panel?
I'm working with Bisbee and Kenny Florian, and then Karen Bryant, and then Megan Livy will be on site live in Chicago.
Awesome. All right. Well, we look forward to it. Thanks for spending some time with us here on MMA Junkie Radio.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Take care. Wow, she seems very comfortable, like, ready to knock this one out of the park. Yeah. Every fighter that I can think of that has ever done this grows tremendously, and between the first time you go and the second time you go, it probably has to be pretty nerve-wracking.
I think the first time
for anybody that does that
I ever booked Michelle Waterson was on MySpace, and it was because of that Fight Girls show that she was a part of with Felice Herrig and Lisa King. Gina Carano was on there.
I remember that. All right, let's talk to some of the guests or some of the junkies that are on hold. Who's been first? Danny, is it Brandon from Louisville?
It is.
Let's patch him in. What's up, Brandon? How you doing?
Hey, gentlemen. How's it going today?
Good. How about you?
Doing pretty good. First off, congratulations to Louisville City Football Club, who upset the MLS's New England Revolution last night, 3-2.
Oh, nice. Wow.
So, y'all talking gambling, and I know, Dan Tom, you're a fan of trends, right?
What kind of trends? Okay, what am I walking into with you, Brandon?
just general trends in fights, you know, who wins in certain ways, outcomes, you know, streaks, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. For sure, yeah, 100%.
Okay,
what you got?
I've got a couple for you here,
All
okay?
right.
So far, in the 11 title fights that I've witnessed in person, the champ is 5-6.
Oh, that's not helping for this one. It's already a close fight. All right, go ahead.
This will be the 4th Alistair Overeem fight I've witnessed live.
All
He
right.
is 2-1 in his previous 3.
Okay.
Okay.
But nothing's
Of the
glaring.
200
Yeah, these are pretty close to being
Of-
500.
Right, it's like a flip of the coin. Here comes Brandon, flip a coin. That don't mean shit.
of the 233 fights I've witnessed live, only 11 of them have had weight cut issues where a fighter has missed weight.
Okay, I like those odds. Like,
Right.
have you,
But you can't apply that to gambling. Though,
But then
right?
I
was liking that one. That last one was starting to make sense.
Well,
but can you apply that to gambling?
but if he's like, I only seen 2 shows in the last since they've been started this new weigh-ins, then I'm gonna start getting a little worried. You know, it depends on how you want to cut that stat down. So
Brandon,
numbers
we'll
can
give
be
you one
deceiving.
more, man.
All
You
right,
have one more, and otherwise this is just.
He sent it to me already. It says in the last 2 times I've been to an event, I've had popcorn once.
Oh, okay.
I've had popcorn 0 times. Popcorn is shit. Okay, I got 2 for you.
Okay.
RDA 2-0 when I've been live.
There you go. There you go. I can buy into that one.
Yeah. Okay, and of the 33 fights I've seen in Chicago, 19 of the winners have been listed first by first name alphabetical order.
That's still not.
Hey,
19
let
out
me
of
ask you
33 is
something.
like 60%.
As weird as these are, they probably took a lot of time for him to do.
I was
How
gonna
long
say,
did it
yeah.
take you to
He
kind
said
of
he's
like look
witnessed
at all that stuff?
233 fights. Is that a fact, or did you just pick that number out and hope we don't call you on it?
That is a fact. That
Wow.
is the counting all 22 of the UFC, Strikeforce, and Bellator shows I've been in the limits of.
How long did it take you to research all this stuff?
You know, I've been fucking around with a spreadsheet at work because I've been bored as hell the past 2 days. So,
That's
you
at
know,
least 2
I'll try to find some better ones tomorrow for you.
Brandon, you got to give me one for some live betting opportunities. I need to know how many finishes happen when you have to get up and go take a piss at a live event for live betting opportunities. Live betting.
I almost never get up and take a piss. I've got a bottle with me at all times or a jumbo cup. So for the other junkies that are next to me, do not try to share a soda.
There's kids in there, Brandon.
All right, my man. Thanks for calling in.
There's kids in the arena.
Later, guys.
Later.
You guys think that bottle looks like this?
Probably. Probably. Let's do one more. Marco in Waco, Texas. What's up, Marco?
Marco from Waco. ¿Qué pasa, vatos?
¿Qué
Brandon
pasa?
got me cracked up. So we got the Cuban muscle crisis, Joel Romero versus Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whittaker. Dude. He finally took the freaking nickname, man. It was so much fan pressure. He got rid of that Reaper stupid nickname, and he's accepted Bobby Knuckles. So I had to cheer for the guy. I can't get out of my mind the fact that he beat Joel Romero in his last fight on 1 leg, man. And now he got his 2 legs good, and you know he got no health issues, and he's coming close to 100% as he can be. And I'm riding the Bobby Knuckles high trend, dude.
Hey, let me
And
tell you 2
eventually
things. Let me tell you 2 things, though. Nate Diaz beat Conor on 10 days' notice, and everybody thought, oh, with a full camp, he's really going to take it to Conor, you know, and he lost.
Good point.
And then the other one was, do you remember when, I think it was, didn't Johnny Hendricks break one of his hands in the first Robbie Lawler fight? You guys roughly remember that?
No.
Bicep. It was a bicep. Yeah,
tear.
it was bicep.
And then he goes, "Now I got 2 biceps," and he wound up losing that fight to Lawler. So don't. I mean, I know it's a great point, Marco. I hear you, but you know that fight was a year ago, and had Romero not looked great against Rockhold, not only would I be like fist bumping you there, I'd be going, and now he's a year older and blah blah blah. But I feel like there was some improvement there, and Bobby Knuckles has not fought since then. So I don't know. I mean, these are great points, but I don't know that they tilt me either way. I don't trust Romero's gas tank because he
he tends to gas out, and Bobby Knuckles hasn't showed that.
Right.
Last thing, dude, and Kobe Chaos, man, I don't know the hype. We need Kobe Covington to win, dude. I mean, all props to RDA. I was there when he beat Anthony Perez. You know, I already told you guys it's because Anthony Perez and RDA that my baby girl Angelica was made. You know, that same weekend she was conceived.
Mm-hmm.
But I am on the hype through Kobe Covington. We need the young blood. This guy that talk trash and shit, and a lot of people don't like it. But I can see the deal, and I freaking like what he's doing. And if he can talk this much trash and you know, back it up this weekend, even Tyron Woodley will have to admit that it's good for his bottom line too.
I agree, brother. I agree. Sorry. I thought you were done. We got to go to commercial. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Bump like gas.
They taught Andy Griffith how to whistle. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
The Vegas Golden Knights aren't just the talk of the NHL and the sports world. They're the talk of the town in Las Vegas. Follow the money while you follow this expansion team's quest for the Stanley Cup on the only channel broadcasting live from a Las Vegas sportsbook, the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Odds are you'll like what you hear on SiriusXM channel 204. Tonight, I believe it's G-State at Cleveland. It's game 3. Cleveland needs to win this. Send a message that we're going to win 2 at home, and then it becomes a 3-game series. And, of course, the Knights, they host the Capitals tomorrow, and they have to win or it's over. That's just it. It's 3-1 right now in favor of the Capitals. I don't want to bring Showtime on because there's only 90 seconds left before the end of the hour.
Favorite fast food? Do you have another
Hold on
one?
to that one. Yeah, hold on to that one. Folks, we are closing in on the on the World MMA Awards, which take place on July 3rd. The Junkie family is up for 3 awards. Best MMA programming, that's for Junkie Radio. The Best Media Source category includes MMA Junkie, nominated yet again. And for Best Journalist, our colleague John Morgan is up. We would definitely appreciate your votes if you feel the same way I do, and that's that we bring it. We're the best website that covers the sport of mixed martial arts. And I believe we're worthy of winning all of those categories.
Yeah, and if your friends and family feel the same way, that's cool too.
Yeah.
Pass it on. Forward, share. WorldMMAAwards.com. You don't have much time to vote, so get in there and vote. Stop saving it for tomorrow. Don't forget PFL tomorrow night on NBC Sports, 9 p.m. Eastern start time, and a lot of pre- and post-fight coverage on their Facebook page, ProFight Live. It's at ProFight Live if you want to hit a like button there on Facebook. That way you can catch everything that happens before the broadcast on television. Lives will change. $1 million prizes to the winners. All right, we'll be right back after this break.
All those hopes down the drain.
Here we go. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. For all you millennials, that's actually Mark Wahlberg before he became an actor.
You believe that?
Doing his thing in the music world. I think I could have sang that song. I just didn't have the abs, but I could have pulled off those lyrics. There wasn't really much to that, right?
Well, he was just rapping, right?
If you call it that, yeah. Reciting lines, I don't know.
Reading.
Uh-huh. But then again, the rap that I hear nowadays is fucking dumb. The other day, I told you, I was perusing late night, yes, this will tie in, but I did come across the AVN Awards from 2018, and Lil Wayne was up there. What is he saying up there?
He what? Oh, AVN.
AVN, you know, the X-rated awards, yeah. And they go, give it up. And people were singing along, but I couldn't even make out what he was saying. That's in, right? Remember when we used to work out with Ulysses and they'd pump Drake?
Mm-hmm.
And we used to say that.
It sounds like they're reading.
It sounds like they're reading. But I couldn't even understand
really
this guy.
I'll tell you when I stopped listening. About 50 Cent, You Can Find Me in the Club. That is where I just lost faith in hip hop. Last stuff I listened to is probably like NERD and the Neptunes, just for their beats and whatnot, like Pharrell. But really, I am hard against anything in the last 15 years is garbage, and I'll stand by that.
Yeah. Let's talk to Showtime in Tennessee. What's up, Showtime? It's yo time.
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
Not much, and you?
Man, just getting ready for this amazing week of fights. I was just looking; they don't have the PFL lines up yet.
I've been looking too. I've been looking too, and I haven't seen them yet. But what I was told by someone in the know is, outside of the UFC, these don't get bet much until the last 36 hours before the event. So there's not really a race to put them up.
Mm-hmm.
Now that said, I'm looking at fucking KSW 44. That can't be bigger than PFL, but yet those lines are up. So I don't know. I would expect something soon, maybe by today, or tomorrow, or yeah, for sure by tonight. I think maybe they'll just wait for weigh-ins or something. Although, quick update from Dan Tom, you were saying Sean Jordan missed weight, right?
Yeah, I missed weight by 9 pounds this morning. So they're going to discuss how they want to go forward. I mean, it's not just your typical commission stuff as far as the fight goes.
Oh,
but
and they're in New York.
You're in New York. You're in New York, and then again, this is the money on the line to the season format. I mean, it's kind of just a different format all around.
They
so
got a tough spot there, man.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if there's any update. But
do you just give someone a pass? Think about how valuable that is. And if you do you give them the maximum amount of points with the win or just a basic win? I don't know. But we got to get going with this call. So what else you got, Showtime?
Nothing much, man. Just listening to the show. Ready to make some bets, man. You know, the generous like us always trying to find something to bet on, man.
Yeah.
You got a show late for UFC 224 or 225?
You know what? I'm in the process of doing it now. I'll give it to you guys tomorrow. I want to get my boy Shorty Torres, though. Y'all got him on the line.
Yeah, we got Shorty Torres on the line. So, all right, my man. We'll talk to you tomorrow, all right?
All right, man.
All right, take care. Be safe on the road.
All right.
Showtime from Tennessee. He's one of the junkies that's headed out to Chicago, by the way.
Nice.
Yep. All right, let's talk to Shorty Torres. Jose Torres debuted in the UFC this past Friday at UFC Fight Night 131 in Utica, New York. He fought Jared Brooks and got the win. KO slam. Second round. Again, he goes to 8-0 now with 4 KOs, 2 submissions. He joins us now on the hotline. What's up, Shorty? How you doing?
What's up? What's up? I can't complain. I'm alive. What about you guys?
We're alive, too. We're alive, too.
Now we can't complain.
Yeah, we can't complain.
He took that away from us.
Exactly. Hey, man, it's been fun covering your rise through Titan, and you get the call, I think 10 days notice, and into the UFC, man. That was really, really cool. We were happy for you. I think, aside from the fight, we'll get to the fight in just a sec, but just tell me, what was that whole process like, and what did it feel like to make it to the big show after all these years?
Oh, man, it was horrible. Honestly, it's one of those things that, the funny thing was, we got the call by Mick Maynard, and I was getting ready to fight for another title for Titan FC. I saw Lomachenko go for a 3rd division title. I was like, you know what? Let me do some different UFC belts. All these promotions they're busy doing their own thing. Let me stay busy myself and try to carry my own legacy. Well, I was bulking up for 145. I weighed about 151. Then I get a call from Mick Maynard going, hey, you want to fight in 9-day notice? And I go, no, it's not doing it. Not at all doing it. I have 26 pounds. I'm not going to do it. And I called Louis Giordano Nutrition, chuckling, my weight management specialist, chuckling, like, hey, they called me for this, not going to do it. He goes, dude, you're not out of shape. You're just fat. I was like, oh. He goes, yeah, you can make the weight. Come on, let's do it. It's going to suck, but let's do it. And it was probably some of the worst 9 days of my life because it's not just 26 pounds. It's also traveling from Florida to New Jersey, Jersey to Utica, dealing with New York Athletic State Commissions, all their tests, MRI, MRA, EKG, I mean, every single test in the book, dealing with USADA, doing tests for them, and all the paperwork, and then dealing with everything UFC and the paperwork that involves them. So by the time I finished everything and weighed in, I was like, oh, I forgot, I'm in the UFC now. I have to now officially do my UFC debut.
Wow.
So I never really got to reflect that I'm officially now a UFC fighter.
Right, right. No, I get you, man. A lot of fighters have to stay in shape to get that type of call, and there's some that are able to enjoy the process. But you're right. I have heard that about New York. It's a New York commission, and I heard they're very strict. And then with you having to, I mean, come on, we are talking to a flyweight here. 25 pounds off of maybe a 205er might be a lot more doable. But yeah, that's quite a journey, man. From 151 to 125. Understandably, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, man, it was 26 pounds, and the only reason I took it was because of nutrition. If he was confident and comfortable doing it, then I was going to take it, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without him. But it's one of those things, man. It definitely was a struggle because you see all these videos of Darren Till, Mackenzie Dern, all these people that have months in advance to lose all this weight, and they miss weight compared to myself. 9 notice 26 pounds. That's a quarter of my weight, and we make it with ease, and we put on a great show because of it.
Was there ever a point in that process where you thought maybe you won't be able to make it? Did it ever get bad like that?
Mentally, and I am a complete mental person when it comes to weight cuts, just because I struggled so much in college. But for me, even from day one, I was like, oh, man, we're probably going to make weight. Or excuse me, we're probably going to miss weight. We're probably going to miss weight. And he's just like, hey, man, stay confident. Like, it's okay. We got you. And slowly the numbers started going down. But it was more of a mental strain than a physical strain. I mean, it just really was, grueling to try to stay confident. And you see all these videos of Darren Till and all this stuff. So I'm like, oh, man, I'm going to be like one of these guys, And I was given the ultimatum, if I miss weight, I'm going to be cut. Just because I guess another flyweight missed weight, he was cut somewhere in England. So I was like, everyone's going, hey, man, you're a UFC fighter. Not officially. I got to make weight first because if not, I'm cut. So there was a lot of stress on my shoulders and just, again, trying to push. We somehow got it done, and honestly, I'm still baffled that I made weight and did such a spectacle for, being a flyweight.
Wow. Well, and now we get to the fight with Jared Brooks. Of course, you were the one that got your hand raised, and I know that media and fans have probably not been too kind in their assessment of the fight or whatever. But what I want you to explain is what I've been hearing, and that's that the adjustment you made once Jared Brooks, put you in the air to slam you. I think you pointed back to your college days, is what my co-host was telling me, as far as an adjustment you made that was going to help you once the fight got to the ground. I don't know about necessarily knocking him out, but at least put you in a spot where you're not all of a sudden in the type of position where now he's going for any certain kind of a win, piling onto the vicious slam that he was trying to do on you. Can you explain that a little bit to us, please?
Yeah, so in the process of the fight, for people who don't know or watch any of my fights, I am a Justin Gaethje type of fighter at the flyweight division. I do get beat up. I start very slow. I let my opponents tire out in the second, third, fourth, fifth round is really when I start to put the pressure in. So, didn't plan to get dropped, but so be. He caught me with a great spinning back fist. Second round comes in, I start to push the pace, start to do what I do, and now he's forcing shots in. I got a good clinch in. He eventually picked me up in a double leg, and immediately when he picked me up, I started to have flashbacks in college, and I have done this twice where I have dazed opponents, accidentally of course, but I immediately have to lock the hips. I climb down. You saw what he did against the Brazilian in his last fight, where he picks the guy up, and out of nowhere the guy's flailing. He's looking foolish on the top, and he's going to get slammed. And it might not be a hurtful slam, but it sounds great, it looks great, and it looks awesome to the judges. So for me, I immediately started climbing down. I locked the hips, which pretty much locked his spine, so he couldn't arch, he couldn't turn. So when he was ready to arch and do this big, thumping throw, he couldn't. So he fell straight back, and the process overextended himself, hit a nerve, and he dazed himself. And when he fell, immediately, no matter if he was rocked or not, I was going to land in a more dominant position to take his back. And whether or not he passed out, I was going to be able to take his back and hopefully be able to do the same thing. But because of it, I was able to get out so much easier and finish the fight because of it.
I'll have to go back and look at that. That's interesting. You explained it very well, too. Jose Shorty Torres is our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He's coming off a win over Jared Brooks. at UFC Fight Night 131 in Utica, New York. He goes to 8-0 now. This was his debut in the UFC. All right, Dan Tom, our fight analyst, what do you have for Jose Torres?
Hey, what's up, Torres? You know, it's always great watching your fights. It's always excited for anybody who's watched you outside of the UFC. But I got to ask you, where's the future going to lie now? Because for people that don't know, you were a dual champ, 125, 135. And correct me if I'm wrong, you were even thinking about going up to 145 before this. So where's the mindset at right now? What's the division that you want to jump into?
You know, my favorite fighter is Manny Pacquiao, and the whole, you know, he symbolizes to me that little guys can do big things, and that's what I want to do is, you know, take over a division and slowly move up if that's the case. You know, so for me, I do want to hopefully dominate the UFC flyweight division, and I believe it needs that type of excitement. You know, they don't have a fighter like me where I'm always looking to put on a show. It doesn't matter who I'm fighting. Again, Jared Brooks is known as a wrestler, but I got him to finally throw hands. I got him to drop somebody. I got him to really do something he's not usually known for, and it made him that much more exciting. You know I can do that for every single fighter and really put on a show. And again, for people who watch my fights in Titan FC, there's never a dull moment. You know, I'm disappointed if there's a dull moment. So for me, I like to dominate the flyweight division and see what goes from there.
All right, and can I just ask you, though, when you did fight at a higher weight class, can you objectively say that you felt better? I mean, anybody that doesn't know, you have power in your hands, that's no question, but as far as being able to put out, you know, energy and also being able to being more durable, did you feel a difference when you were heavier in weight as opposed to, maybe not this cut, this was kind of a crazy cut, but just in general, fighting at flyweight?
Well, it's crazy because this cut never even affected me in the fight. You know, so when people go, hey, was your performance hindered by the last-minute weight cut? Honestly, no, because we had a great rehydration protocol. But for me, at 25, you know, it is a hard of a cut, and I have to worry a little more about the weight cut, maybe, you know, take off an extra week of practice. But when it comes to finally being in there and rehydrating, there's no difference for me. I think the best thing for me, though, is 35 just because I enjoy the bigger challenge. They're stronger, they hit harder, they're a little more dominant when it comes to certain positions. But I think flyweight division just makes it that much more exciting. They're faster. Every division has their pros and cons, but no matter what, I feel great at both.
Jose, do you feel a sense of closure with the Jared Brooks fight? I know he was very vocal afterwards. Do you feel like eventually you guys may run this again?
You know, it might be like a Brandon Moreno-Pantoja type of fight where, you know, a year or two later, they get back at it after really establishing their careers in the UFC. Either way, it doesn't matter. Whatever the UFC puts in front of me, I'm more than happy and excited to do it. If Jared Brooks wants to rematch and the UFC allows it, I'm more than happy to, you know, signify the real knockout of what I was intending to do and, you know, see what happens next. But, you know, for me, I'm just ready for the next best thing, and I want top 15.
I know he's very vocal.
He's playing the 9 out of 10s card on Shorty Torres.
Did you guys did you guys get to talk at all after the fight? Did you run into each other at all in the back?
Yeah, the crazy thing is, you know, obviously before the fight, all the smack talk, and you can tell he wasn't very confident in himself. He was kind of just saying whatever to be the Colby Covington, to get a little more hype, you know, behind him. And that's cool, you know, whatever you got to do to boost your morale. But after the fight, yeah, he knocked himself out. He was doing whatever the case may be. After the fight, he was the most polite person in the world. It seriously looked like he was taking my daughter out to prom date. Like, that's pretty much how he was. Like, he was the most polite gentleman in the world. Like, oh my God, this guy's completely different. I'm sorry. That was just your social media. I understand it now. And then, you know, I was posting a picture the next day, but before I did, everyone's sending me screenshots, all this stuff of 9 out of 10, I would have knocked you out, whatever the case may be. And I'm just like, all right, sure. I guess he's back on his Colby Covington type of act, whatever. And I'm still going to post my usual thing because I can care less. I won the fight, whatever. You know, I'll be the bigger man at the end of the day, which technically I am either way. And, you know, overall, he did what he did, but that's him. But he's getting a lot of backlash from it, which I'm really starting to feel bad because we're getting millions of views on SportsCenter, ESPN, all these shows, and they're just, you know, in a sense, humiliating a guy for making a mistake, for, you know, trying to do something big.
Yeah. Shorty, thanks for the time, man. I know you're a busy guy, but it's great catching up with you. Congrats on making it to the UFC, successfully debuting, sharing that story about the weight cut, which is what you needed to officially become a you know, part of the UFC organization, and you did it, and then you responded with a win, getting your hand raised. And anyway, again, thanks for everything, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, bud?
I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for the support.
All right, take care. We'll see you. All right, that is Shorty Torres. Goes nailed that one. He got that interview done, so shout out to Goes. We are guest free to finish out the rest of the show. 866-522-2846. I wanted to own up and tell him about a discussion we had, but I know we had limited time with him. But I wanted to say that one of you two asked, do they want to run it back? And he did give an answer like he's open to it, and it doesn't have to be immediate. But I think it's one of those that qualifies. I don't agree with 9 out of 10. The more I think about it, Shorty gave a great explanation on his adjustment and the way he tends to become stronger as the fight goes, and that's fair. But anyone that doesn't know the background on all these fighters and they're just watching, they could probably believe the 9 out of 10 line because Jared really was having a great fight. Yeah. But you know, it's great to hear both sides. It's great to hear that they were cordial, and then I guess if they're building it up again, then maybe Jared is one step ahead of us and he is real with the fighter, but then he's a character when he gets to the social media and he wants to just build it back. Who knows? You know, I don't know.
As soon as he said how polite he was, I instantly thought of Japan and how polite he was there too. He's right. Like when he's not focused on a fight or something, he is very, very like overly polite and a nice guy.
Do you remember the whole conversation?
Like the bus ride?
Yeah.
The bus ride was different.
It was like 90 minutes.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
And I was tired and sick, but Jared has this voice that carries, and he was just talking about a bunch of stuff. And I remember a couple times I was like, I opened my eye, like, oh, okay, you know. But I maybe Goes might remember other stuff.
I remember a lot of stuff.
Do you really?
Yeah. I mean, trust me, in my head, I was kind of like, interesting, just kind of writing things down. But I was like, holy shit, this is crazy.
Yeah. You know, when we checked in, it was funny because I think he said to the Japanese guy behind the counter, "Thanks, dog," right?
Something like
or
that. Or
something like that. Like the guy either
Thanks, dog.
You had to give him a key, I think, when you left the hotel, and they were just talking, but in the end, he just goes, "Thanks, dog." Like that.
He had a funny thing in the hallway. In Japan, this is in Japan. In the hallway, like at an odd hour, he was hitting mitts, and it was loud. It was loud enough for me to be in my just boxers or something to open the door and kind of go, "What the fuck is going on out there?" And I look, and somebody else had done the same thing, except this was a Japanese fellow, so they couldn't understand each other. So the Japanese guy, you could tell, was upset. He was kind of going like, oh, you know, like, well, what is this or something, you know? And he said, I'm just doing my thing, which was like no kind of explanation at all. Because I mean, who would be happy with that? Like, oh, he's doing his thing. All right, I'm just gonna go back to bed. But it was just funny. That was his explanation. But he was super polite.
I would have said,
nice.
And in the other situation, I would have said, "Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. I don't know, but thanks, dog." Like the other guy's probably like, "What does that mean?" I get the thanks part, but
I'm a
dog? Like I don't understand why he's saying that. But I always get a kick out of. Sometimes it happens on our show. Maybe even Goes might be the offender. I can't remember, but or maybe it's been guest co-hosts. But we have had fighters who are internationals who you have to dumb down English. You can't use slang, right? So I really try and like speak to like I'm speaking to my buddy's kid or something. You know, you should not tug on the dog's tail, you know, or whatever. But it's funny because sometimes it'll happen on the show where there's slang out there. I'm like, oh man, that other person's
I try and dumb my
fighting
stuff a lot,
trying to figure out what the fuck we're saying. You know, we're already basically struggling.
I might as well be using sock puppets.
Right. Yeah, I can't remember. So maybe it wasn't you. I don't think it was Dan. Dan's usually pretty formal when he talks. So maybe it was a guest co-host, but I don't know. I always get a kick out of it just to see people struggle through that. But yeah, I mean, if you're ever in that situation, you got to use less slang and just be a little bit more proper and concise.
No words over 6 letters.
Or it could be that maybe it was just, I know who it was. There's this black guy who covers the sport. He's really good at his job. He's part of the MMA media. I don't know if you guys know him, but for some reason I even want to say he's a Sure Dog guy. And it's not Andreas Hale, right? There's a guy named Andreas Hale. I don't believe it's. I know it's not him. I know who he is. Or he's part of the Vegas circuit. I think I've seen him at Dana White scrums.
Calvin,
a big guy.
Did he have dinner with us one time at that steakhouse with John? The one, what was it called? I forget what it's called. But you know what I'm talking about, right?
I don't remember the dinner. What dinner?
You don't remember when we went? There's a steakhouse, something Selinsky's or something like that, right here.
Oh, with John Stauffer. I thought you meant Morgan.
So
okay.
he went. He's
the
guy
you pointed there, and now we have one. So I thought you meant Melanie Bay.
He did a mock weight cut one time. Here, I'll look him up.
Did he cover boxing at all too?
No, I think that was someone else. No, he's a bigger guy, but it was funny because I think he was interviewing probably like a Brazilian or somebody, and he was just using this verbiage where the Brazilians like, excuse me, repeat that, and so they're listening. You can tell they're listening, but that's when you have to like lay off the slang a little bit and just be more proper. Like, how did you feel in the octagon? You know, you can't go out there and say, man, was you buzzing? You know, well, I don't know. I mean, whatever. Because the other person's going to be like, what? You know, you have to, like, just be a little bit more proper. It cracks me up because then he'll re-say the question, but I think he realizes, like, he's flowing, you know, because he flows with his questions. So maybe that's what I'm pointing to. I don't know. I don't even know why I brought it up, but
I don't know that guy, but I love when the example you're citing, when they do that, and then when they go to correct themselves, they don't correct the heavy slang that's throwing them off in the first place. They just slow everything down and talk to the person like they're retarded, but they use the same word. And it's just like, no, that didn't help. You're still using the same word. They're just insulting them.
And Kevin, a few of those guys, they'll catch Dana where they go, huh? Repeat it? And then they have to, like, they had a whole paragraph of a question. And then they just have to go, are you pleased with tonight's result?
Yeah.
Do you remember Bjorn when he couldn't understand something one time?
And he goes, are you high?
But the way he stopped, like, he stopped and it kind of went, huh?
Are you high? Like that.
Think about how crazy your question would have to be for somebody to not understand it.
I didn't know you were there.
Are you high?
What time?
I thought that happened the night that I found out UFC was buying Strikeforce because Bjorn was at that table, but you weren't there.
You were in Vegas that night, or
no, I was in Tachi Palace.
You told me in Vegas when that happened. That was a long time before it happened. I was like 2 or 3 weeks.
It was 1 week. I was at Tachi Palace, so it was a Bellator event because I also went to a Tachi Palace event.
Yeah.
But I went to a Bellator event in Tachi Palace. And a bunch of people just got together for a dinner afterwards. I didn't know Bjorn was going to be there, but Bjorn wound up being there. But prior to that, I remember hearing that rumor, and I'll never forget. I just kind of heard a few things about it, and I go, nah, come on, man. That's their rivals or whatever. And I still remember we had the old studio. I walked in on Monday. John was co-hosting that day. Goes was sitting there, and I go, hey, you guys want to hear something? I heard the UFC's going to buy Strikeforce. They both looked at me and went, ah! Started laughing and high-fiving each other.
You said it so casually. Like, and I was like, kid on Boys in the Hood. Well, I want to see a dead body.
I want to see a dead body.
I just walked in like that.
And I realized, I go, yeah, that is silly, you know? And I think I even tried to get in on the high-five. Like, I'm dumb, huh? And sure enough, man, 5 days walked by, and John calls me on Friday. He goes, hey, yo, dog. Rewind, hit that rewind button again. What did you hear? You know, and I was, because I think he started hearing a few things out there, and I was like, oh, well, look who's calling old GG now, you know. But in the end, another outlet wound up breaking the story. But what I should have done was just said I heard on the show and put it out, because I did hear that, you know, 1 month or 1 week before anybody else was even talking about it. And what made it true was a conversation I had with an executive from Zuffa who once told me I can make as many cards as they want. I guess I just gave away who it is. I can make as many cards as I want. Well, they have multiple matchmakers, so you'll never know.
There's the guy that makes business cards.
Yeah. And he says, I can make as many cards as they want, but what I need is superstars. I need main eventers and co-main eventers. And the conversation I heard at the top, and this is fucking 2011, what do I care, right? The conversation I heard then when they said I heard the UFC's going to buy Strikeforce, I said, come on, get the fuck out of here, you know, whatever. And they go, no, because Strikeforce has some big names. At the time they had Verdum, Henderson, Babalu was a name, Overeem, Woodley, Cormier, Ronda. Yeah, I mean, they were actually starting to develop some names, you know what I mean? Kennedy was another name, Musasi. And so I think the UFC realized, shit, we need those names. Lawler, right? Yeah, we need those names. You know, anybody else that was kind of on the undercards, not so much. We need those names. And then, of course, we found out that I think it was Silicon Valley Sports co-owned with Coker. And that's the same people that also own the arena out there where the Sharks played. But they also had a stake. And I guess they just wanted to get out of the game. I think Scott saw an opportunity to probably cash in what they had built, because what they built was phenomenal. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
huge.
They came strong.
The Challenger show, even their Challenger show ended up producing guys.
I remember, again, Misha, Ronda. I mean, like, we can't just discount those names. Ronda turned out to be their biggest star ever prior to Conor McGregor. So you got to tip your hat to Strikeforce. We always say pride never die, and WEC never die. Man, Strikeforce never die either.
Yeah. WEC can say, hey, we brought weight classes. That was pretty huge. They did bring a lot of fighters too.
I mean, they can argue they brought the GOAT, Demetrius Johnson, Cowboy Cerrone, Anthony Pettis, Ricardo Lamas, Joseph Benavidez, Dominic Cruz. WEC brought a lot to the game. Carlos Condit came through WEC.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't remember that one. Jamie Varner was a big name. Benson Henderson was a big name. But anyway,
Brian Stan.
So that's what happened. Was that happened that night? And so when he said, well, they don't really necessarily aren't interested in the whole franchise. What they need is those main eventers or those big names. And then I remembered the conversation I had like a year prior, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. And that's why I came to Goes and John feeling like I had something more than just some dumb rumor you hear in the elevator or something. But once they laughed me off, I was like, well, maybe it is silly. I don't know. But 5-6 days later, boom, there it is. UFC purchases Strikeforce, and one of the biggest scoops ever that we could have had on the show. We didn't have on the show. Even if I just would have thrown it out there. Huh?
Early, too.
Early, yeah, early.
It's not like we were beating people by hours or something like that. That happens a lot. There's been times where I have to look at SportsCenter and I see the quote being broken, and it's by someone else, and we've known about it. We just can't talk about it.
Yeah.
I was actually talking about that with my buddy Gabe, that we have a ton of nuggets, but there's so much protocol when it comes to at least our site and how things work. You have to confirm with both sides, whether it's, let's say it's Dan Tom's fighting Goes Garcia, we got to get it from the Garcia camp and the Dan Tom camp, or the promoter, Martin Stabilo Promotions. I got to talk to him, and if he can confirm that the fight's happening, then that's good enough. But if Martin promised the LA Times or ESPN or someone else, and he's going to tell me, let me hit you back after, because I'm texting him or calling him, and he says, let me hit you back.
I think you're onto something. You just took off.
He just ran off right now. Yeah. And then he goes and says, hey, man, you got to break that story. GG's on to you or whatever. That's kind of how it works in mixed martial arts media. Now, I'm not just talking about from us, fighting, Sherdog, you name it. These guys will tell you stories like that. Everybody gets those types of scoops. And so that's what makes it a little bit more complicated. And so Goes and I,
too, though.
We built our reputation as we're vaults. You tell us something, for one, I'm going to forget about it. But two, we're just going to keep our mouth shut, But for the most part, there is a lot of stuff that we have heard that does turn into stories. And oftentimes, I'll tell our editorial, hey, look, hey, listen, this doesn't jeopardize any relationship or whatever, but maybe start to look at something, in this or whatever, because we want to make sure that we don't violate what somebody told us, because what they told us could be like a lead, not necessarily like a psst, don't tell anyone, but hey, this is what I'm hearing, and then that's something they can follow up on. So it's confusing. It's not really my bag or anything, and so that's why it doesn't happen as much as we'd like. But
when you retire one day, is the vault gonna turn into the faucet? Are you just gonna move to Costa Rica, start spilling secrets?
If everyone turns into a dickhead, maybe, and somebody comes up and says, this book will pay for your house. No.
You better get a moat.
Because I don't want to ever hammer those that I care for. Fellow junkies. I mean, Junkie's my home. And even though I say this sport is grimy and dirty at times, and there's a lot of people that have that type of dirt under their fingernails, there's a lot of good people too, and a lot of people that really, really try, their best to make the best out of every day and do things the right way. And there's others that are shortcutters, And then there's shortcutters that have changed their ways as well, and they're not what they used to be. But we've seen a lot, man. We got to take a break, though, right? Right, Danny? Give me an update.
Yeah.
All right. This is the first of two, I believe. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
And because they can, they are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
We're back. It's MMA Junkie Radio. Danny, what happened on VX? I don't know if George needs to reload, but is that person no longer on hold?
Oh yeah, no, Ben dropped.
Ah, gotcha.
He'll probably be back. Ben drives a lot for his work, so he'll hit a rough spot.
I was
and then he'll come back.
Dying during that last segment because Dan Tom busted but he didn't know he did. He didn't do it on purpose. It just came out of his body. That's telling Danny. Because I don't know if you guys noticed, me and Dan couldn't stop laughing. It's because he looked like a dog when a dog farts. And it kind of shocks him. And he's like, "Who was that? Who did that?" And then he kind of goes, "Oh yeah, I farted." That's what Dan looked like when he did that. He kind of shook real quick. And I'm like, "Wait a minute!" And then I just realized he said it. That's what made me fucking die, dude. I couldn't stop laughing.
So bad. It's an auto response. It's so
my
bad.
God. Made George laugh.
People on the show picked up on that by now, though. You said that, at least to me. So I'm not helping myself here.
Are in on it.
I'm not helping myself.
Dan, did you pick your fast food?
Yeah. Okay, so here's what it is. It's kind of boring because it really went through practicality. If I only had 4 spots. I couldn't not have McDonald's because the nostalgic value from being a kid and liking their chicken McNuggets, which used to be made out of turkey, and they were much better when they were made out of turkey fat, by the way. Yeah, that's why they were so delicious. They were made out of dark meat turkey fat back in the day. Don't ask me why I know these things. I know I'm really stacking the case against me for being a fat kid between this and the Scrooge McDuck example in the pre-show. Mm-hmm. But McDonald's makes the list. They're also 24 hours, although they're not as strong 24-hour selection as more of a West Coast selection, which is Del Taco, because, again, not Hispanic, but I got to be able to get my taco fix in there if I want some really bad, poor nachos. Del Taco delivers. And Del Taco, by the way, underrated bacon double Del cheeseburger. I will say that. I will accept sponsorship, Del Taco, to mention that once a week on the show. Third, I got to go with it would have been Burger King, but Burger King, for whatever reason, nostalgic, it's the only onion rings I eat in my life. They stepped up their game. Yeah, they stepped up their game, but the problem is my body I'll just leave it at this, my body just reacts to Burger King like no other food I've ever had for whatever reason, and I get it. So I stay away from Burger King. I get it. Burger King's been replaced by Jack in the Box, which I never really liked that much, but Jack in the Box is it's another 24-hour powerhouse where you got both sides of the United States. You can get your tacos there if you want. You can get your chicken nuggets there if you want that. You can get your burgers there. You can get curly fries, which I needed one option with curly fries, and the Jack in the Box was the only option with curly fries. They edged out Arby's because Arby's, the low closing times, the low accessibility. You're always having to wait for the chicken sandwich if that's what Dan Tom gets, because he gets the chicken sandwich. Mm-hmm. And fourthly, Wendy's. We talked about the whole thing that started off Wendy's because when I'm trying not to eat fast food, which it should be most times, but I have to pick if I'm like, you know what, my least guilty choice is going to be Wendy's because it feels, I don't know about you guys, it feels the less greasiest. Now, maybe because I'm a junior bacon cheeseburger and chicken nuggets guy and I'll skip the fries, but it feels less greasier and I feel like, okay, I can do that and not feel too bad. I've got some crap protein, but at least got some protein. I can live another day. Those are my choices.
Right, I like your list. You done fucked up a little, but not as bad as Doncho.
Okay. I only heard part of it. So
essentially, recap was Wendy's, Del Taco, McDonald's, Jack in the Box. Not because the best. I can pick up things that I like and histories and this and that, but essentially just well versed for menu, 24 hours, geographic location, and yes, of course, what I like and what I'm accustomed to eating. And when it comes to that,
Gator.
Well, can you guys go first?
Oh,
I just want to see what your reasoning is and see if you guys leave one thing out that I thought about yesterday.
All right, so I'm going to go with Del Taco because I just like the pseudo-Mexican side of things, I guess. Mm-hmm. But they actually have a decent burger. They change their menu a lot and try shit. Some stuff works and some doesn't.
I ordered a number 93 the other day.
Yeah, Jack in the Box goes pretty deep, too. I think Jack in the Box would be my other one because, again, they just change shit up as well. We are saying fast food, right?
As long as it has a drive-through.
All right, so we're talking junk.
Yeah.
Okay. So those two. Oh, it's got to have a drive-through?
Yeah, don't give me a
So Round Table, does it count?
No, Round Table doesn't count.
Oh, shit. Ooh, you threw me off. So those
Kahuna
two.
Burger.
You got to have a drive-through.
Does Kahuna Burger
I guess
have a
maybe
drive-thru?
Panera Bread? They have a drive-through.
They do?
They do, but
no, too healthy?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Maybe You're catching me off guard here. What's that place called? Farmer Boys?
They have a
Because
drive-thru.
the breakfast.
All
And they have a
right.
drive-thru.
We're talking more like you gotta have like a mascot, like a.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
fast food,
All right.
fast food.
El Pollo Loco.
Okay. Their
And
mascot is just a Mexican dude.
Del Taco. Jack in the Box. And now I think I gotta like really have my burgers set.
I'll buy you
So I think-
time real quick. I just want to say real quick, Taco Bell I think is a big waste of the choice because it's essentially 4 ingredients put together in different ways for their whole menu. Think about it. Sorry,
Shit.
go ahead.
Kinda, yeah. I think Del Taco is better than
Yeah,
Taco Bell.
yeah.
Taco Bell smoking crack. Now they got eggs for shells. Like,
Yeah, that's
I don't know what
stupid,
they're doing.
Although I did buy into the Dorito Dorito shell once, but so now I'm left with either the KFC Popeyes angle or
Oh, I forgot about Popeyes. Oh, so underrated.
Or do I
Underrated.
make sure that I got my burgers lined up because El Pollo Loco doesn't have burgers. Jack in the Box does. Del Taco's got one, I think.
But it's a good one.
In and Out's just like, this is all we got. Or you can get second patty, or you can go animals.
That's
but
where they can make it hurt.
I think what it boils down to, I think the Carl's chain might come the strongest with
Danny?
the diversity of their burgers, maybe versus
The crisp cut fries aren't bad either.
yeah.
Points.
So give me that one.
All right, Danny.
You guys have a lot cooler, I guess, fast food restaurants than I do. Because, I mean, I don't have another place to get tacos than, like, fast food-wise than Taco Bell.
Damn.
That's pretty much the only choice. So if I mean, I know Dan was saying it's kind of a waste of a pick.
Sorry,
but it's
you
like,
can pick Taco Bell then.
If we're going little fat kid Danny, I went to Taco Bell a lot.
Yeah.
So I would have
Yeah.
to go with Taco Bell. They have to be one of my 4.
All right.
Because I couldn't not have Taco Bell.
I missed their chili cheese burrito, old school
Dude,
90s
that was the
reference.
best.
Right, remember that?
I
See, yes!
actually am part of
so excited.
a movement to bring it back. Like, I signed a petition
Oh,
and everything. Bring it chilicheeseburrito.org or something like that.
Well, Dan
And
Tom,
you know
Daniel
what?
Tom, and
Like
Danny
2
Tom
years
needs to
ago,
sign
came
that
back
thing.
for a little bit.
Oh, what?
Yeah, then they got rid of it.
How did I miss this?
You know what's really crazy? Did you see Taco Bell's new taco? It's fried chicken as the shell. I kind of want to try it.
All right, what are your other 3?
I do love the Wendy's double, but it's
Damn
like
it, why-
a single, a double, or triple,
I might as
and
well
then
just let
other than
George
that, they
pick
don't
mine,
really
'cause that's what I
dabble
was
unless you get
going
into the
to.
Wendy's?
Baconators. But I think
Yeah.
Carl's can match them with their Western bacon. They got their Superstar, which is pretty legit. And Dan made a good point on them fries.
So,
and yeah, I don't know.
Danny, your Taco Bell, Wendy's, and what?
Taco Bell, Wendy's. I'm trying to think. I don't want to.
He had a whole show.
What? George has been justifying what he picked the whole time. I'm trying to think too. I guess I gotta go Popeyes. I was trying to decide between Popeyes and KFC.
Calling an audible, by the way, replacing Jack in the Box with Popeyes.
All right, I'll let you do it.
Thank you. You got to have that because it's that picnic format. If you're want to get fast food for a bunch of people, that's a lot easier than what burger do you want? You just get a bucket of chicken, a bucket of sides, or if you want to treat yourself and be like Dan Tom, I know has his little cheats at Popeyes. You can get Dan Tom, you get the seafood combo, and then you get some spicy chicken wings for later. So on fight day. So by the time the beers have gone through and the fight card's over, you're hungry. You don't have to go back out onto the road. You got some chicken wings right there. You just reheat right in the oven.
You know, there's Subways now that are drive-through, so but I don't know if Goes would allow those.
I guess.
Just because there's so many sandwiches to choose from, but yeah.
All right, Goes. How do we do?
So Danny needs one more.
Oh.
Yeah, my last one's just got to be McDonald's. For the French fries alone, I'd have to go McDonald's.
So here's where I think you guys may have fucked up. Although George kind of alluded to it, but then we took it away from him. When Doncho was giving me his world's worst list.
What was his?
It was like McDonald's, Taco Bell, In-N-Out, and I can't remember. But they were all burger-based.
Mm-hmm.
These are the only 4. You're going to get tired of burgers, right? So
Well, Taco Bell's not burger-based, though.
Yeah, I know. But okay, so look, I have Wiener Schnitzel because
I forgot
now I
about
can have
those.
a chili dog, a hot dog, chili fries. They have all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
My burger guy is going to be Wendy's and Del Taco. Okay? I have Del Taco because now I can have like the burrito fix, taco fix. And they have a good, like you said, the double
Bacon
Del
double
cheeseburger
Del's
is
good.
really good.
It is.
Underrated.
And then Wendy's
No
has got
onions,
some good burgers as well. So that kind of takes care of my burger fix. And like a little bit, Wendy's has some weird sides too. And then I went with McDonald's. I'm not big on McDonald's burgers, But you guys got to remember, breakfast. What are you going to eat for breakfast?
Oh, that's
and
true.
they come pretty strong when it comes to breakfast.
Jack in the Box has a couple of good breakfast options.
They do? What do they have?
They have the extreme sausage sandwich, and then they have this one where you actually get like bacon, sausage, with peppers and eggs, and it's like in a bowl. It's actually not bad, honestly.
It's very aggressive names though, and they're on a lot of these breakfast sandwiches. You know, like the meat lover, the sausage extreme. Like it's just very aggressive breakfast sandwiches. But they go hard at Jack in the Box, though, I will say.
Apparently.
And the coffee's not bad either.
George, you with Carl's, they have a pretty good breakfast too. So
I rarely get their breakfast.
I'm a croissant-wich guy. I've always been a Burger King breakfast fan, which is why Burger King would make it, because that's my nostalgia breakfast.
I think that's the worst breakfast you could have as far as calories. One time,
it is. I'm sure. Oh, the grease
seemed good, but I was like, oh man, I think I'm gonna die.
It feels like you're buying a Philly cheesesteak sandwich because the grease is pouring through the bag for you to get home on the damn hash browns they use.
You want to take it?
Yeah. So, did you name your 4?
Yeah. So mine are McDonald's,
solid,
Wiener Schnitzel, Taco Bell. Del Taco, and Wendy's.
Points for going on a limb with the Wiener Schnitzel pick, by the way. That's not one people would like.
I feel like I'm just going to get bored, so I have to have those other options.
I think Wendy's and In-N-Out, you have a problem with that. Those burgers, all they're doing is just adding the patties. There's not like a diversity of the different.
Oh, they have like the chicken sandwiches
the Baconator
and all. Yeah, like different ones.
Hey, for how many people making fun of us right now listening to this for just being fatties talking about fast food? How many people in comparison are like going nuts? Going, no, they got it wrong, and just like yelling at the thing right now.
Like probably like this is Sparta kicked through his laptop by now.
He's losing our numbers right now.
Divine intervention.
Let's talk to these fools. Ben from Morgan, how you been, Ben?
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up?
So, my number one, without a thought, I had to go with Chick-fil-A. I've been waiting for Chick-fil-A for like 10 years to come to New York. Finally here. But and then I have to go with Taco Bell because same thing with Danny is there's no real taco options other than like Mighty Taco. But I like Taco Bell a lot better. And then I don't care what you guys say because Panera has delivery too, at least where I'm from. And I got to go with the healthy option, at least one. So I'm going with Panera.
But if I couldn't do it, you can't do it.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense, Ben.
And Panera is one of the few foods that I consider healthy that I eat all week. So you guys are bumming me out, lumping in it with fast food.
Yeah, no, we want Vikings to call in right now. Don't worry about being healthy, none of that.
Dude, we just shamed ourselves with all our habits and our tidbits. Come on.
And then number 4, shit, I forgot.
Put him in the bathroom.
Yeah, we're gonna put you on hold. Lose Panera Bread and find out what your 4th one is. We'll come back. Dan from Oregon, what's up, Dan?
What up, gentlemen? Yo, can we go back to the Dana White and Ally Kenta talk from yesterday? I feel like we didn't jump into that much.
Go for it.
Wait, we have one more break, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I thought you were just going to give us 4 fast foods. Let me put you back on hold, and then we'll talk about Ayaquinta and Dana White.
Put him in the bathroom.
And we'll be right back, all right? We got to take this last break. You're listening to MMAjunkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
what they say, and your life will be a lot better. Here are Gorgeous and Goes.
All right, we are back. We are going to do some overtime, so hang in there with us. Got to take a couple calls, finish things up, some discussions. But as we do every day, it is time for our daily debate. We've been having some good ones this week. And first of all, thank you all for voting. It helps a lot, to come up with a certain tally of a couple thousand votes and figure out, who's leaning what way, who's leaning the other way, or something like that. So, anyway. All right, here's today's daily debate question brought to you by the MMA Junkie radio team. Professional Fighters League, the PFL, it debuts its first season on Thursday. So that's tomorrow. On a scale of 1, very interested, to 4, not watching, what's your excitement level for the inaugural season? Goes?
I'm going to go with 1 because it's a different concept, right? And there's so much on the line that I just feel like this is that incentive that's going to make fighters really, really put it all out there. So for me, it's 1.
Yeah. If PFL was just doing what they had done in previous seasons, I couldn't give them a 1. I would not give them a 4, but I couldn't give them a 1. But this is really something that caught my attention, and it all happens quickly. It gets sorted out quickly. And like I said, I keep saying lives are going to change. And I think there's going to be a nice build for the subsequent seasons. So I'm going with 1 as well. How about you, Dan?
I got to go across the board, but I'll give this caveat on this. I mean, granted, I did research these fighters, but if the $1 million grand prize is enough to gain the interest, it's the format. We're not just seeing these fighters from all around the world paired together, but we're seeing them put into a position where they may have to fight different than what they had to before. So if you're already aware of this, I have to imagine you're a hardcore that are aware of these fighters if you're aware of the PFL. And yeah, I'm going to go with 1 as well.
All right, well, it's pretty balanced, but the number 4 came up the most at 41%, and then after that it was pretty spread out. 18% said 1, which is most interested, or excuse me, very interested. 20% had a number 2, 21% had a number 3, and 41% had a number 4. But we are 1s over here, and we'll be tuning in tomorrow night for PFL. Thank you to those that voted, 355 altogether. There you go. There you have it. Today's daily debate brought to you by the MMA Junkie radio team. All right, so we are going to do a little bit of overtime, and we'll talk to Ben, see if he got his act together. Dan from Oregon, we got to answer some of his questions because, yes, Iaquinta, Dana White, kind of rehashing their beef that they've had the last few years. Apparently, Dana was saying that it's on Al Iaquinta for there not being an Al Iaquinta versus Justin Gaethje fight. A lot of other stuff got said in that interview that he had on UFC Unfiltered, including the strong possibility of them going back to 4 p.m. local time weigh-ins the day before a UFC event, which, do you see the uproar?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of fighters were like, you're penalizing the wrong guys. And I think if Dana takes that serious, because there was some big names there, I think he'll probably think twice. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. All right, we are committed to about 5 to 10 minutes of overtime, so stick with us. Sirius XM audience, you will get additional programming. It may include the Luke Thomas Show, or MMA Tonight, or Busted Open, or At the Fights, or some great shows that are replayed quite often. And if you miss any of the shows, check out the Sirius XM app. You can catch all the shows in HD quality, commercial free. We're going to do overtime over at Facebook.com/official MMA Junkie or YouTube.com/MMA Junkie video. See you in a couple seconds.
In the daytime, if you see it once, you'll never be the same again. I'm gonna keep on the run, I'm gonna have me some fun. It cost me my very last dime. If I wind up broke, well, I'll always remember that I had a...
You guys are clear for overtime.
All right, let's talk to Ben in New York and get this one out of the way. What's up, Ben? Did you come up with 4 legitimate fast foods? The hell with the healthy shit.
All right.
Let's talk about that.
All right, so I said Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, and so I came up with 2 more. Definitely 1, maybe 2. Five Guys, burgers and fries.
Yeah, that's a good one. But are they drive-thru technically?
I think I'll just put them on there because
All right. On technicality, I got a technicality against me with pizza. I mean, that's not healthy, but they have that little spread, that buffet lunch.
I'll give it to them only because they're always up against In-N-Out and right.
Sure. All right. Five Guys. What else? What's the last one?
I'm not sure about this one, but CC's Pizza, because it is buffet style, and you can just walk in and grab a couple slices and eat as much as you want.
Is that a drive-through?
Generally, no.
God, I want to kick you in the balls
But
right
that's
now.
it.
So listen, it's not a drive-through. No one's heard of CC's Pizza except for anybody that lives in upstate New York. I mean, we can't relate. You need to say something where anybody that's driving in Seattle, Washington, or Pensacola, Florida, or San Bernardino, California, they're driving, they're listening right now, or they're at their computers at their desk, they're bobbing their head going, yup, that's what's up. Ben from New York, coming strong. Or they're disagreeing and going, nah, I'm not feeling that one. Everybody, the way everyone reacted to CC's Pizza was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, because here, for the longest time, we didn't have White Castle. But we've heard of the fucking movie.
Right.
It's got to be.
Nobody knows what CC's Pizza is.
About.
Nobody can react to that. And he violated the rule again where, once again, he's getting out of his car and he's strolling in to get slices of pizza, which is what I was trying to do with Red. I'm the host of the show, and he wouldn't let me do it.
Yeah,
You're on Ben getting the pass.
Very thin ice right now, Ben.
Yeah. So I'm going to put your ass back on hold and rethink the four once again. All right? Back on hold. Let's go to Dan in Oregon. What's up, Dan?
What up, man? All right, so this Dana White talk. Before we get to Ally Kenta, the number one thing I got to bring up, the biggest takeaway that I had is Dana White schedules every main event. He said, I schedule 42 fights a year. You don't accept it, I'll fucking boot your ass. He's making every main event fight out there. And I didn't know that's how it goes, so that was kind of surprising to me. But jumping to Ally Quinta, man, I think about it was on this radio program where he was talking about the beating that Edson Barbosa was taking. And he's like, I want $1 million or $2 for something like that. Mm-hmm. And the point that Al is trying to make is totally valid in my opinion. If you're going to face the number one guy, then maybe you should get more money than if you got a gimme fight at like the number 10 guy or something like that. So I'm 100% with him. You show me, some pictures, some names of some fighters, I might have, a different contract amount on every single one of those. So I'm 100% with him there. And I just go to his Twitter here, and this guy, Ricky, is talking to Al and Dana. And he says, Al, you have any idea how much we want to see this fight, Al versus Gaethje? Damn. And Al replies, fortunately for me, I know exactly how much. And he's referring to how much we want to see this fight.
Right.
This is what I want to see from fighters, man. I want to see whatever your circumstance is, you got to be able to say no and walk away, which is fucking crazy, but that's how it's got to be.
All right, so that's what a lot of the fighters are lobbying with the Muhammad Ali Act to come over from boxing to MMA. What they want to do is they want to negotiate a different purse for every single fight. And it's probably not going to happen because the UFC, the way they lock you in is via a contract. And that contract really isn't safe. I think we all know that you get at least your 2 fights, but after that, you could be up for a cut. But that's the way they work, and they will lobby till the cows come home that's the way they're going to do it. They're going to lock you into a contract. I guess they could fire back and make it guaranteed money or find a way to make that attractive. But if another organization came and threatened the UFC with that, then the UFC would have to figure out how to have the fights be more, how to have that contracts have a little bit more security, right? And so that's what Al's trying to do, because Al just got paid an additional bonus to fight Khabib because he basically saved the show. I think he's saying he got a taste of that money, and I think he wants more of that. And so what he's saying is, hey, from Khabib to Justin Gaethje isn't that much of a drop, and so he doesn't want to revert to his old contract. I think he wants something along the lines of what he got for the other fight. And Dana White knows that he's partially right, but he can't cave into that. Because imagine if he had to renegotiate 600 contracts after every fight, that would suck.
Well, okay, I understand what you're saying, Dan, and I think it's very valid with a lot of these fighters. But do you ever think about like, do you ever become a selfish person? Because at the same time, if what he wants is done, there are a lot of fights we're never going to see. A lot of fights that we are used to seeing that eventually happen, we won't see, because they're just like in boxing. Look how long it took to put Pacquiao and Mayweather together. They're going to have to do that for every fight. So do you ever get to the point where you go, man, I love MMA. I'm not willing to sacrifice. Like, I want the fighters to be happy too. I want them to have security, but at the same time, holy shit, I mean, this is going to turn into a sport that we're really going to not like if something like that does go down. So as evil as it may sound, sometimes some of the things that Dana White does, they're for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and all I'll add is until something's better put in place, these type of things, as they rub, they may rub the fighters or the fans or us, even as media, the wrong way, how they go about. Until there's something better put in place, it's kind of hard to do that. I'm not trying to go into a pro-union spiel or anything like that, but those kind of things could help both ways, too, with the promotion, if something's put in place where they can kind of press their gas on these matchups while still knowing that, okay, well, we can press the gas because, you know what, we came to a collective agreement with the fighters on this issue, this issue, this issue. Now we can go through businesses forward. That's a perfect world. Obviously, that's easier said than done. But, yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, though, Dan, because it's a tough thing to see right now, but until the fighters have a better leg to stand on, it's hard to tell them, like, hold your ground on this or don't do that. It's all easier said than done, but I hear you, man.
Dude, I will take, honestly, there's other products out there. If we have to get crappier stuff so these guys can go on strike, which was what they did for a while, Stipe, Max Holloway, all these guys, they held out. We had shitty-ass cards for a long time. I don't care about that. I care about the fighters making 10% of the money at minimum, or that's what they were getting before this new ESPN deal. Fox or whoever, UFC is going to make twice the money now, and the fighters can't make any more. Fuck you, Dana White. Back to you guys. I'm out of here.
See ya. All right.
Damn, he loves the fighters, doesn't he?
He does, and not to say I don't, but the fighters think selfishly as well. They just can't seem to collectively recognize the power that they have so that they can create an association and be able to get a piece of these new contracts. Reebok's going to be up in 3 years, and I'm sure the next deal will be even bigger. Are they going to get a piece of that? No. They haven't been able to collectively bargain that, and they haven't been able to collectively bargain a percentage of what they're going to get from ESPN. The top guys are happy. They're getting paid, and they don't want to cause any waves. And in other sports, other top guys were able to take that hit. In fact, the owners once did it. The NFL owners all share in the revenue, the TV revenue across all the board. You're going to tell me that the Cowboys, the Steelers, and some of the popular franchises don't pull in higher ratings than the Browns, or whatever? Of course they do. But the owners, they had the foresight. A lot of the old school, like the Wellington Maras, some of those names, Paul Brown, to recognize that if we do this now, it'll be a sacrifice for the betterment of the league. So I've seen it from the owner's side, and I've seen players also collectively argue. I've seen them go on strike and lose a whole year. I've seen them lose a playoff. But each time they were able to get something a little bit more. A sacrifice has to be made, but nobody's willing to do it in our sport. Our sport's the ultimate sport in terms of mano a mano. You don't have 45 people on a team where someone can be a leader and say, "Hey, our team's united. Cool. We're gonna let the other teams know as well." And hell no. That's why I always say start with ATT and maybe Jackson's, one of those that has like 100 fighters, or 50 to 100 fighters. Get them to react, and maybe get Team Alpha Male to react, and all the other teams. I think if they did that, then maybe they could do something. But otherwise, I just don't see it happening. Not anytime soon, at least. It's unfortunate. All right, we'll finish up with Ben from New York. What's up, Ben?
All right, so I think I got it. Just real quick about CC's, that's kind of East Coast, and I think down south. So, but
we have them here.
We do have them here.
We do?
Yeah, we have them here.
We do?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
But I stand by the argument, though, that it's not a fast food.
All right.
Yeah, no, I get that. So, for me, it's kind of a toss-up. You can bring it back, White Castle and Arby's. It's kind of a toss-up
Arby's is
between the
different.
two.
Okay.
All right. Yeah,
I can deal with that.
Nice.
You finished strong, I guess.
Yeah.
And to me, it's a runner-up because it's so expensive. At least around here it is. So, I don't know. But plus, they got those curly fries that I like.
Yeah, I like when you guys brought
shit.
up the Carl's Jr. crisp cut fries.
Yep.
I think that's important too.
Because no one does crisp cut fries, and then few places do curly fries. That's why Arby's almost made it for me. It feels like you're treating yourself too as far as fast food goes, which is silly
Arby's?
to say. Yeah.
You haven't eaten much Arby's, right? I used to
Not
work
too
next to an
much.
Arby's,
Yeah.
and I used
Okay.
to have the barbecue, and that was the only thing I really liked from there.
I'm a chicken bacon Swiss fan.
Yeah?
It's really good.
I need to give him another
I don't
shot.
think about it, but I remember once Jules said, "Hey, I'm on my way home. I'm going to Arby's. You want something?" I couldn't rattle anything off, so I looked up their menu and I go, and it looked like there was an Italian chicken sandwich or something. I think
Cordon
that's what it
bleu.
was.
Yeah.
And I go, bring
Something
me
like
that.
that.
She
That
brought
sounds
it, and it
good,
was
yeah.
pretty good. And I go, ooh, mental note, But I always forget about it, so
Yeah.
I just don't. It doesn't come to mind. All right, Ben, you did a great job. You redeemed yourself. Thank you very much for all the holes.
I had to go 3 times, though.
All right, bud.
Thanks,
Take
Ben.
care, all right?
Good luck, guys.
Easy, man.
Ben's a character.
Yeah,
He is.
He's good.
It's a
He's
good way
good.
of describing him.
Yeah. All right. So thank you to Michelle Waterson and thank you to Jose Torres. Tomorrow, pay attention, folks. 2 things. For one, PFL 1 happening tomorrow night. They're at the Hulu Theater in Madison Square Garden. Tickets are available. And you want to go to pflmma.com for more information on where you can go, get your tickets. Also, tomorrow we will be broadcasting for those that listen via Facebook or YouTube at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. We're going to start 1 hour earlier because we need to get the hell out of Dodge and head to California. We're going to start 1 hour earlier, and we're going to end 1 hour earlier, 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific, 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Everything will work. The phones will work. We'll take calls. We'll have a couple guests and do our thing like we normally do. We got to recap tough as well. Michael Chiesa will be our guest co-host. He'll be in studio with us for 2 hours. And he's got a fight coming up against Anthony Pettis, and he had a run over there at Fox Sports. I thought he did great, so it'll be great to catch up with him. And then on Friday, Dan will be in studio. Goes and I will be in Costa Mesa, California, pounding out the last show of the week, which will be our 2700 show.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. For Danny Otto and Dan Tom and the Goes, I'm Gorgeous George. I hope you enjoyed today's show. We'll see you all tomorrow with another edition of MMA Junkie Radio. Until then, be champions.